I've been reading Higurashi recently, and while it's a great read, it's also been wearing on my sanity. I can only see so many characters die gruesome deaths, while others gradually lose their minds without starting to have bad things happen to my own psyche. As such, I needed some wholesome fluff to use as an antidote, and while in search of that antidote, I came across the new Shonen Jump title Spy X Family. Now that I've caught up to the most recent chapter, do I think Spy X Family is worth reading? Well, by the end of this video, I hope to have answered that question. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me on the ride as I review the story of a dashing spy, a ditzy assassin, and the absolutely cutest telepath in the world. So, here's the gist of Spy X Family. There's two big, vaguely European-looking countries called Westalis and Onstania, who have a sort of uneasy peace between them. An Ostanian politician called Donovan, who looks like he's seen terrible things, seems to be trying to start a war. Westalis, in response, sends in their top spy, Twilight. Sorry, wrong picture. Here's Twilight, to get close to him. Since Donovan only ever appears in public at his son's school, Twilight has an interesting mission. He has to get married, have a kid, and send that kid to the same school as Donovan's son. While Twilight is a brilliant spy, he's not magical. He doesn't even sparkle. So he obviously can't have his own child in 7 days. Instead, he adopts an orphan, who just so happens to be able to read minds. Then he finds a lady, who's willing to pretend to be his wife, and unbeknownst to him, is also an assassin. And thus, a beautiful dysfunctional family is born. Let's dive a bit deeper into the characters in this family, shall we? First, we have Lloyd, aka Twilight. He's a consummate professional, highly regarded by all his peers and incredibly competent. He also has a huge soft spot, though, and his treatment of his new wife and daughter is incredibly gentle and patient. This patience is rather important because both his wife and daughter lack some degree of common sense. Moving on then, to his wife, Yor is this odd mix of insanely powerful and just way too oblivious. On the job, she gets things done quickly and efficiently, but in normal life, she's, how should I put it, not physically clumsy, but clumsy in every other sense, tripping over social situations instead of her own feet. She's also rather dense. When she sees Lloyd doing some crazy spy stuff, her reaction is just, oh, yep, totally normal, nothing to see here. Truly, a spy could not ask for a better partner. All that being said, she is an awesome mother, and while it's still early going in the story, Yor and Lloyd's relationship does have some genuine chemistry. Maybe given time, we'll get a genuine romance between them too. Finally, moving on to the true star of the story, Anya is absolutely adorable. Due to her telepathy, she knows the occupations of her parents, which she thinks are so cool, and she does her best to help Lloyd with his mission. Sometimes, she ends up causing more problems than she solves, but she can be genuinely helpful. Also, while she does start off with her only defining characteristic being cute, she also develops her own quirky personality as the story progresses. One of the biggest draws of this story for me is easily just watching this family interact. They all really care about each other, but they're awkward about expressing it, and the way they bumble around trying to is truly heartwarming. Family aside, what else do I like about the story? Well, while action isn't the main focus of this story, the action scenes are still remarkably well done. The art for those scenes is easily on par with some of the better action shown in manga, and the fights feel well thought out. They make full use of the environment surrounding them and fit perfectly with the story beats for the chapters they're in. Somehow, the author manages to make the action not only feel badass, but also perfectly incorporate really sweet, hilarious moments into them, which is one of the hallmarks of this series. Moving on then, as I just mentioned, comedy is another great strength of this series, and it draws on several sources. There's the obvious slapstick humor, which, since this author can draw action, works really well, but there's also a lot more subtle stuff. The major source is the information imbalance between all the characters. The way Lloyd and Yor try to hide their secrets from each other is often pretty amusing, as are Yor's acceptance of some of Lloyd's more bizarre explanations of some of his actions. Then we have Anya's telepathy. Her reaction to Lloyd and Yor's thoughts are priceless. Aside from her shock at some of the more extreme thoughts some of them have, the way she acts on the information she gains from telepathy is brilliant. And when I say it's brilliant, I mean it's brilliantly funny. Not that her actions necessarily contain some measure of intelligence. Sometimes they do, but she is a kid and acts her age, meaning she often does things that are hilariously ill-advised. So, as you can probably tell, I really like this series. Does it have any weaknesses? Well, my cop-out answer would be that it only has 30-odd chapters out and releases bi-weekly. So following this series requires a bunch of patience. That has nothing to do with the quality of the manga itself though. If I was really pressed to find another fault though, my only complaint would be that the humor around some of the side characters is kind of stupid. Specifically with regards to the headmaster and Yor's brother Yuri. The headmaster's defining trait seems to just be saying his catchphrase, elegance, a lot. And if he's riled up enough, looking like he's orgasming while doing it. This ranges from being obnoxious to really freaking creepy. Yuri, on the other hand, is full-on freaking creepy. His defining character trait is being a siscon. A really devout siscon. I don't know, maybe those of you without siblings won't have as many problems with this. But to me, the whole I want to marry my sibling thing is deeply uncomfortable, and the fact that Yuri has very little personality outside of it is unhelpful. In summary, Spy X Family is absolutely worth the read. It's heartwarming, hilarious, and even though the whole spy thing isn't really the focus, it's done well too. If you're feeling down and are looking for the perfect something to cheer you up, I cannot recommend this series highly enough. This was the perfect antidote to Higurashi for me, and hopefully it can be an antidote for you as well for whatever is stressing you out. If you're all caught up on Spy X Family and are looking for something else to read while waiting for the next chapter, I would recommend Muso Telepathy, which has the same mind-reading humor as Spy X Family and is a great pick-me-up. Also, it's actually finished, so you can marathon the whole thing. Anyways, thanks for listening to this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers!